Hello everyone, it's me, Coffee Stitcher. How are y'all? Excellent. I'm sorry for missing last week. As you can hear, I still don't sound as good as I normally do. But I had very little voice, and since I work a call center style job, it's kind of important that my voice be usable. So I definitely needed the day for vocal rest. Subsequently, though, that means there's going to be a longer video, one that will hopefully be better, a little on the organized side. You'll see what happens there. I did get back to using my planner, but I know I dropped the ball badly in the middle of April. It looks like I didn't really record what I did the last few days of May, so, there we go. Let's see, because my last video was my June goals, which would have been the 29th, so yeah. Okay. So this will be a little cobbled together for the start. Not really a whole lot of haul or Q&A, but we've got plenty of other stuff to discuss. So we will dive right on in. Chelsea Olish asks a really good question. She said, do you have any PDFs in your stash that you look at and think, I don't know if I want to stitch that anymore? If so, what do you do with them? Well, because as we all know, you can't gift away a PDF. Really the only option is either to delete them or keep storing them. Usually, if it was like a freebie pattern, I'll just delete it. Because if I ever really get desperate for it, I can probably locate it again. On the ones I paid for, they just kind of sit there. It is the one downside to using doing a PDF method, is if you decide you aren't going to do it, or you really don't like it, or if that designer does something that you don't agree with, then you're just sort of stuck with it. So, is that going to stop me from buying PDF patterns? No, but it is what it is. Sarah R. says, you were talking about fabric and your favorite ones. I wondered if you could go into a bit more detail about what it is you like about these fabrics. So, in terms of dyers, it all comes down to a combination of service, price, and colors that they offer. And to a degree, speed. I don't buy a lot of outside hand-dyed fabric because usually I want it when I can work on it right that second then. I don't want to wait the 6 weeks, which is completely understandable why it is a 6-week turnaround for most fabrics, because they're hand-dyed. They dye them to order, so you're going to wait, which is completely fine. But because I'm in a fabric of the month, that usually alleviates my need to just buy elsewhere, unless I've got something really specific in mind. But then usually I'm also not trying to start that really specific thing in mind right that second then. So, that's sort of my thing with dyers. Now, in terms of fabric itself, I don't really like stitching on higher count fabrics, largely because I like working with 2 strands. I like the coverage it gives. I like doing a loop start. I don't know, I prefer to stitch with 2 strands. Which my friend Imogen was horrified. I don't think horrified is the right word, but that was definitely not something they were expecting me to say. We were discussing thread counts the other day. So I prefer the 28s and the 32s. In Ada's, I prefer 14, 16, or 18, which is interesting because I don't really like working on 36 count fabric, but I don't mind 18 count, and I use 2 strands on 18, but on 36, I feel like I shouldn't. So, figure that one out. Largely, that's what it boils down to. Is I really like using two strands. I don't really like working on linen because it is a lot easier to miss a stitch, and either end up with like one that's too tiny or one that's too wide, or then you get the slubs sometimes. So it's just I like even weaves because they're consistent. There's no slubs. So there you have it. And then Anne Musso asks, do you remember what the first cross-stitch pattern you stitch was? Do you have any favorite designers? Why? And yes, this was my first. It's the Emerald City, obviously, by Camelot Designs. I finished it in 2014. Took me about 3 weeks. And it was a joy to stitch. Obviously, because I'm still here stitching. It's not perfect by any means, but I'm pleased with it. And then in terms of favorite designers, I really love Brooke's books. Obviously, I've done a lot of hers. I like the Frosted Pumpkin a lot. I like Tiny Modernist. I like Modern Folk Embroidery. I love Tempting Tangles. I love Blue Ribbon Designs. I haven't stitched any of hers yet, so this is a tentative one, but I really love Dirty Annie's. But that can also just be because she does lots of chicken designs. I love Satsuma, but I don't necessarily love stitching them. Yeah. Bendy Stitches, she's great. She needs to finish that damn Oz pattern. That's right. I know you watch these. I know you're hearing me. Love you. And actually, if you want to do Oz marshmallows, like your Nutcracker marshmallows that I still need to stitch, I would not be against that. I would not be against that at all. Who else have I stitched? Obviously, I really love Stitching Book Club. Stitched a lot of those. In fact, I love Stitching Book Club so much, and the other half, that I even, to try and do Gatsby on black, I bought one of these. It's Yakuto Sun. It's a little, it looks very, very space agey, but it's a little headlamp. And it also has a magnifier that attaches, which I used yesterday and really, really did enjoy using. So I bought a little bit of black fabric, so we'll see if that makes that doable. And I bought Even Weave, not Ada, because that one has way too many fractional stitches that I just don't want to try that on an Ada. So that's one of my pieces of haul this week. There will be more haul coming. I also got my Fabric of the Month. I'm not sure which month this is. I think this was May's. From Fortnite. It's called M&M. This is their Just the Browns. There we go. Sort of a nice, it's a little more gray. This is an even weave. It's Lugana. It's a little bit more of a gray-brown, but that is perfectly fine by me. All right. So, what did I work on? Well, I am glad you asked. So, I I did finish Summer Patchwork. We've got 2 finishes this week. Um, so here is Summer Patchwork in all its beauty. This is by Susan Bates. Is available, I believe, on her Etsy, but I got it from a magazine. But here it is. It's on a yellow even weave that I just had in my stash. There it is, all done. So, and I've got a plan for this one that will hopefully work. I just have to get off my butt and do some actual FFOing of things. Alright. So I finished that one on Sunday. So I started that after my last video, I think, when I said, hey, I could actually probably just do this in one day. And I did. Barely. I pushed myself to get there, but I did it. The next day began was my new moon, new start for May, which was on L. Frank Baum. It was not my castle, because I woke up that morning, I was like, I really don't want to, even though it was all ready to go, I was like, what's really calling to me was L. Frank Baum. So this is from J&J Cross Stitch. It's History Mini number 34. And I got, so here's where it is. So I started in the center, so his shirt is done. And then I used the shirt so that I could do the green in the background, and then I finished out what little bit of the gray and the white was needed for the corners. So in here is the full design. So very excited for this one to come together. I think probably only a couple of stitching days will finish it on out. Right. Then, let's see, what did I work on then? Then the Pride Cell started. Now this is the Modern Folk Embroidery Move Forward in Love. I don't have a preview of the monochromatic, but this is the full color. And I'm doing sort of a hybrid. So all of the outside part is going to be in the color. But I did the monochromatic version of the middle, and I've got a couple of ideas. I'm kind of waiting to see how it all comes together. I'm also thinking about maybe doing crystals on these little inner diamonds. But the goal was to do the center medallion. I am using Aurifil for it. This is on Brigid from Under the Sea Fabrics. But there it is. This is actually a pretty good representation of this color. So, okay. So I worked on that. Alright, then after that, I worked on Under the Sea to finish up Clue 3. And this is on Many Waters by Ship's Manor. So here is Clue 3 with minus a couple of things. So, here it is in full. We'll go in close to 3. So you can sort of see that I used half stitches in a large portion of the treasure chest. That's because I'm going to be putting beads there eventually. So kind of like I did on that Fairy Tale Princess one, just so I don't have holes, and so I've got an idea color-wise of what I'm doing. I went ahead and did metallic half stitches. And then I've got a fuzzy stuff that I'll use on the seaweed itself. So I only did its bottom stitch, or its top stitch. No, bottom stitch. But because they're, unlike some of the other projects where I've used fuzzy stuff like in small amounts, or as like a back stitching tool, and this one it's much more than that. And because I'm not near the end of the pattern, I don't want to accidentally get it crushed or do something weird on me. So it'll be done towards the end. But Under the Sea is caught up on until the 24th. So we've got about 10 days till the next part. Right, because we've got 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 days. So no, I did not math that correctly. Okay. So then, on Sunday of last week, I worked on Wicked Siblings. This is by Mama Witch Cross Stitch, and it's on a one-off from Fortnite Fabrics. So here is the pattern itself. My goal was to do the trees and leaves, finish the tree and finish all the leaves, which I did. So we've gotten up to there. So next month we'll hop over and do the other tree. Probably not its leaves, probably just the tree. But we're getting close on this one. Because I figure the tree and maybe half of the leaves next month, the other half of the leaves the month after, stars and moon, and then the ghost will probably take 2 months as well, so we've got about 5 months left on it. Then, to replace Summer Patchwork, out came Corner of the World by Tempting Tangles. And this one, unfortunately, because it was the way it was released as a mystery style, I don't have a finished picture of it. I'm not going to end up doing all of the parts. So my plan was to finish out 2 parts, which I did. So there's where I'm at. This is on Autumn from Under the Sea Fabrics. So this whole thing makes the shape of a heart, but there's also some outside filigree things. I'm not going to do the outside. I'm just going to do the heart shape and the interior. So the plan is going to be 2 parts and then 2 parts, and then it's basically done. But that's where I got on that. And now we come to our next finish of the month, which was Haunted House. This is by Bent Creek. I'm going to have to de-kit this bag here in a moment. But here we go. Here is the finish. This is on another one-off from Fortnite Fabrics. So this month I did the little ghosties. And I did use fuzzy stuff for the feather boa. But there we go. And all is glory. Uh, and then, like I said, I worked on Pride Cell. I started on the first, and then I came back to it, worked on it this week. Um, and then I worked on Oztree, and I got, this is on, this one may actually have a name, fabric-wise. No, this one was also just a one-off from Fortnite. It did not have a name. So this one's the one by Tiny Modernist. So my goal was to do the flying monkey. And I did achieve that. So I've got the balloon, minus some of its more detailed backstitching, and we've got the flying monkey. What I did here for the crystal ball, I stitched, there were some shading blocks that were under it, and then I took that Kreinik Easter braid, and I satin stitched that over it so it would look like glass. Again, sort of like with my seaweed, this is going to be fuzzy stuff, so it is going to wait until the end to do, because I'm a little worried about it getting smudged. I'm not so worried about the satin stitches on this, because that stuff is super intense. And if it gets messed up, that's at least a much easier correction. So there we go. So next month I will come down here and work on the Tin Man. Maybe. I may go across and work on the Witch. I haven't really decided yet. I could kind of go either way, honestly. We'll just see what way the wind blows. Alright, so that brings me to, since I finished Haunted House, I spun the wheel again, and With the Needle is coming back, or With Thy Needle is coming back out to play. This one is by Lila Studios. So here's the full pattern. I've got this whole part done. And I started the border on this one, so I guess I'm going to come over and start this square. Yeah. So this one's on Rosmerta from Under the Sea Fabrics. And here's where I am on it. So, got the little sheeps and the cow. Yep. So, not sure quite yet what my goal for the month will be on it. We'll find out. I may even end up starting in on it this month, depending on how I am time-wise. So this may get some love this month. And then the next thing I'm going to work on is Heart and Hands, Now You're in the World. So I'm working over here. I've got to find a couple of the colors. Or I've got to not find a couple, I've got to find them all, basically, because they are not still with this. But the goal for the month was to finish out that side. So here's where I'm at. So I'm going to try and finish this side minus the words, which should be fairly easy to accomplish. All right. Well, Well, I do believe that is everything for me this week. Um, I hope everyone has a terrific rest of your week. And I will see you all next time. Bye.